Group. 4, protocols. Do we want to have protocols, and what might they look like, and how are we going to get there to get them where people agree to use the protocols as part of what they do?
So clearly, in the last 5 minutes, you can tell that even in this group, diversity is very diverse. And we all have different levels of how we understand things, how long we need, how long we take, what language we use. So, which is a really great segue into our working group. So language is important. Getting the right language. I have a moral responsibility to relay something from Veronica. The phrase is people with disabilities, or disabled people. But if you don't know the right language or you're unsure, ask the right people from the right communities. Also language, around language, how do we look for a simple, accessible, and an appropriate language? Even the word protocol is very structured in a world. And how do we use positive, affirming language that unites and strengthens? So to start, we're going to not use the word protocol. In this working group, we've decided that we'll base this discussion around values, around asking why. So what is the objective of the assumed protocols is to find better ways to work. What are the ways we want to work? So based on that, we have established a few things. So firstly, rules don't work. We clearly know that from a lot of examples in our lives. So rules don't work in all contexts. And so if they don't work, then ask questions. Always ask questions and keep asking the questions. Some questions, especially in working with people, diverse people, could be, what stories haven't you heard? What stories need to be heard? What kind of relationship would you like to have with me, and how would you like that to pan out? What way of working works for you? Some other questions. Is this place safe? Who are we creating this space for? And is it safe for the people that we're intending it for? What do they need? Those are the kind of questions you can begin to ask. We also had the privilege of having Rita, Tristan, and Hannah in the group with us, and so it's a really good reminder to also, as a guiding value, that we all actually understand that art is embedded in culture, and that as the starting point of all conversation in the arts. Now, so in asking questions to the people who you work with, and asking yourself some of these questions when working with diverse people and communities. What do they care about? What do you care about? The next point is, to focus on what matters. What actually matters in this space between us. So I think it's very, very important to remember that there is diversity even in diverse communities, and so how do we acknowledge each other as their own person, along with their complexities and nuances, and the complexities and nuances of the community then that they are part of, and honor that. Next point is to stay current in the changing times and the changing circumstances in communities. So, we have seen shifting environments and circumstances and behaviors between communities, between diverse communities. And so how do we keep relevant? How do we stay current and on top of things? And so how do we educate ourselves? How do we listen deeply? How do we ask the questions and keep asking questions. And lastly, as a bit of a call to action, we problematize the phrase check your privilege a little bit. And we recognize that, it is a tricky concept. And no one really knows how to do it. We sort of know what it means. We sort of know what we'd like to see, but it's very hard to say how. So we could try this for everybody in a leadership position, especially, and that's, to ask this question to another person of a different ethnic background or a different, or somebody with disability or a woman, to ask them, hey, do you want my job? And explore if you could actually relinquish that power. And we could have some follow-up conversations around that. But yeah, that's us. Thank you.
Righto, group 5.